Welcome back, everybody, to Unconditional Surrender in Europe, game designed by Salvatore Vasta, published by GMT Games. I'm Gen608. If you like my videos, hit that thumbs up button. It helps the algorithms in YouTube keep this up when people come searching for Unconditional Surrender videos. If you really like what I'm doing, then go ahead and subscribe, and you'll get turn on the notifications button, and you'll see whenever I'm uploading another video on Unconditional Surrender or anything else that I happen to be doing. This is the C.U.C.U campaign, affectionately known as C.U.C.U campaign. It stands for Crush UK, or Cripple the UK, however you want to look at it, and Collapse the USSR. We are going into March of 1942, and we will go ahead and get ourselves started here. We had already rolled the weather. It was severe everywhere, so not a lot's going to happen in this in March here. I'm jumping over here. I have no idea what that was all about. So we got to declarations of war. Nobody declared war. I mean, we have Ireland and Bulgaria and Spain and Portugal left, I think, is all that's left on the board. Oh, maybe Sweden. So we're just doing production. I don't think he gives anything to anybody. We're in strategic warfare. He plays subs against the subs. It's +3 to +3 because he has 9 countries and also holds Basra and has an aircraft in Norway port, so that he's +3 against the Soviets. So I'm halved as the Soviets. He rolled an 8. I rolled a 4, halved to a 2, so I lost factory. His subs come back in 3 turns. We go over to the west. It's +6 to +2. I go ahead and play the partisans, trying to just see if I can get lucky. He rolled a 6 +6, which becomes a 6. I rolled a 3 +2, which is a 5, and a 6 to a 5 means that the Brits get a thing back, and I roll a 2 for my partisans, so coming right back. Strategic movement for the Axis. We did some discussion here between us, and we thought that this might be the thing to do. He brings the armored over to Vichy, and what you're going to see in this next turn is he's going to set up for the attack on Vichy in April. If he can get Vichy to actually put its units on the board, he can probably conquer it in a couple of turns at most, and then he would be able to put a pro marker from the conquest of Vichy into Spain. So when he collapsed the USSR, Spain could be his unrestricted success could be played in Spain to activate it right away and give him a shot at taking Gibraltar. So if that happens, I'm going to have to take something like the BEF here in Plymouth and try and ship it into Gibraltar so that I can keep him from at least just overrunning it, that he'll have to at least attack it a couple times before he can take it out. So that's what that is all about. I got tired of him. I made a huge mistake here, okay? I built an aircraft there. Last turn, I had meant to move the home fleet and this convoy and the Gibraltar unit. I actually wanted to move them all up to Edinburgh, and I didn't think to do it. So, my bad. And so I'm just getting this aircraft out of harm's way. Because last turn he just pounded on my aircraft, and I'm like, I need to just get out of here. So, and then in the Soviets, what did I do in the Soviets? Do anything? I have no idea if I did anything. Same thing. I have an airplane that just gets crushed by his airplane, so I just went ahead and strategically moved it back into the safe zone. And we're into operations phase. He moves his airplane up to be prepared to drop an airdrop marker on Moscow when the time comes. And right now he's just like, okay, I have 3. The armor's 2, and 1 for the Italian is 3. -1 for the city is a 2. So he's +2 to my +1 because I'm elite. He rolled an 8, halved to a 4. I rolled a 5, halved to a 3, so I didn't hold the hex. Moved the Finns up with the German and did something similar up there, +2 to 0. Rolled a 6 becomes a 3, rolled a 3 becomes a 2. Did it down here at Saratov. He's got 2, 3, minus 1 for the city, so he's plus 2 to my 0. Rolled a 7, which became a 4, but I rolled a 5, which became a 3, so... and then he moves this guy over here to keep me from being able to... If the Vichy should come in and he shouldn't conquer me right away, I could possibly have a Vichy unit over there that would run around and grab a whole bunch of Italian cities. I mean, he's got... what's his Italian will? His Italian will is 11, so it's not likely I could really do anything. But he's like, why take the chance? Plus, it'll help him run into conquer cities as well. And then he moves the German infantry down from Nantes to there. And a German infantry from Antwerp goes there. And then he moves a German garrison into Antwerp. So he's set up for doing the thing in Vichy. And then he's at... I think he has 18 left. And now he's doing... So his attack here... I didn't do the flashies. He's going from here to here. He just said, I've got home fleet. I've got nothing better to do with these airplanes. Let's just go and do this. And so he rolled a 6 plus 3, which is a 9, halves down to a 5. I rolled a 3 plus 2 is a 5, halves down to a 3, so I lose 2. He loses 1. And he does it again at plus 2 to my 0. He rolled a 2 plus 2 is a 4, becomes a 2, and I become a 2, becomes a 1, so we each go up 1. He does it again, and he's now a plus 1 to my minus 1. He rolled a 1, I rolled a 1, so we each went up 1. So I'm at 4 and he's at 3. And he's like, you're at 4 and I'm at 4. You know, at minus 2, so best I can get is a 4 divided by 2. He's at minus 2, best he can get is a 4 divided by minus 2. So he's going to use this airplane and just say, that's it, let's blow them up. Then he moves this airplane into Stavanger. We were talking about that infantry might want to be there. He's like, well, I'm going to take my supply down here, and he supplies the airplane so he can rebuild it. And then we're into Western Action sub-phase. So in this phase, I believe, I move the convoy out with Gibraltar, and he says, yeah, I'm going to intercept it. And I'm like, okay. He rolled a 5 plus 1 becomes a 3. I'm a 3 minus 2. I'm a 1, so I take 2 sorties, and I just go into Edinburgh. And he'll come back in 2 turns. And then... I flew Fighter Command up to Edinburgh as well. Just trying to not giving him any targets for his airplanes. I can't afford it. I don't have the production points. You know, if I had 20 some odd production points, I probably would stay down there and fight him out and just pound on his aircraft just like he pounds on mine, just to run him up in sorties to keep him from being effective when he wants to be. But right now I don't have the points to do that. So now we're on to the Soviets. I'm not sure what I'm doing with the Soviets. I know I wasn't doing much because they just... In severe weather, I can't really do a lot, but so I said, well, let's see if I can get lucky. I have a shock army here. That's a shock army. So that's a 1, and then 2 other guys is, 3 minus 2, 1 for the ridge and 1 for the rough terrain, so I'll be like plus 1 to 0. And I rolled a 1, so it didn't matter. Then up here I have a 1, 2, 3. Highlight that guy. So a plus 3 and halved, and he's plus 2 and halved. I rolled a 5, so it didn't matter. And did I do anything else? I moved this guy up to be in that river line. This guy goes into the river line there. just basically along the Volga and the lower Don. Yeah, I just can't get an attack to push them back in Stalingrad or anything. What am I down to production point wise? See, I'm down to 8. Had nothing to build. So I was down to 8, and I know I wanted to save 6 for 2 aircraft, so I'm thinking I moved... Yeah, I moved someone into Granzi, and the guy that I moved... basically 2 guys came in from the east. And then I was done. So here we had a disconnect. So I'm going to pause the video here and be right back. Okay, I'm back. I had a disconnect on my end with my router and stuff, so we ended the log file and saved the game just to be safe, and then I reconnected and we were able to continue on. So that's what that was all about, that little pause there. I'm not sure. So I thought about, doing something silly like that down there, and it just turned out that it was better to do what I did. We forgot to take off the low supply when he supplied these guys down here. So he's, he's supplying the German in Basra and like 3 Italians down here, and we're not taking off low supply markers like we're supposed to. So that's what that is all about. No supply phase. He didn't take anything off. The Soviets took off... take off something? I swear I took off something here. Why am I scrolling down to here? So no supply axis. He didn't take anything. Oh, no supply for the West. That's where we're at. So the no supply for the West, I went bye-bye home fleet. And we went to no supply for the Soviets, and I believe I take the airplane in Saratov off. Yep. Because it serves no purpose. I mean, if I spend 3 production points there, he just nukes me with his German aircraft or flies an Italian down. So those airplanes are not doing me any good up there. The airplane down here in Tiflis, he's got to march down here and get an airplane within range before that one becomes useless. So it'll make him actually have to do some work. And I think I'm just restacking things there. Okay, so that was no supply phase. Replacements for the Axis. This is fairly easy. The Italians get done. Then the Germans take down their airplanes and their convoy. And I think they do their airplanes in the west, or in the east. So he's pretty much at full strength with his aircraft now, except for one guy in France. A couple guys in France yet, but... so I took down... Force H. And then that's where I stopped. So I have 4 points left. Then I go into the Soviets. Airplane that's in safe spot, the restricted area, and then should be the one down here in Tiflis, comes down to a 0. And that's upgrades. I don't think, if I remember right, the only person who has anything to build is the Brits at this point. So... And I grabbed Home Fleet instead of Med Fleet. I grabbed from the Eliminate box, so I swap it back out where it belongs. And now we're going to be going into end of turn stuff. So my airplane comes in, Home Fleet comes in. I get Bomber Command to build. Woohoo! Don't have the points to build it. And the German gets... that. Gets his surprise attack marker back. Now we're going to do weather. We are going into April, and we're going to go on the severe line, which is right here. So it's that line all the way across. And he rolls a 2, 5. So a 2 is poor, a 5 is poor, and a 4 is poor. So he didn't roll any fair weather turns. So we went from everything being severe to everything being poor. So weather's steadily getting better for him. And then we're in the declaration of war phase, which none of us do, so we're... Oh, he wanted to see what the diplomacy cup looked like. It's like, what's the diplomacy cup look like? I said, it's got a political failure and a no event in it. So it's not the... I don't know why we did that. I don't know what that D3 was. Are we rolling strategic warfare here? I don't know what that D3 was. Oh, I know what it was. He actually declared war on Vichy. He wanted to see what the diplomacy cup looked like. Declared war on Vichy, and then he rolled a 3. And you add 1 for every conquered Vichy country when you're rolling for Vichy countries. And you need a 1 through 3 for the country to actually set up its units. So he rolled a 3, plus 1 is a 4, so he didn't make the 1 to 3. So Vichy comes over on the west side, but kind of doesn't do anything. And then I forgot to put a control marker there, because that's also part of Vichy France. And so he's like, well, that's annoying. So now we're into economies. Just pull all the counters up, and then he gives 1 to the Finns, because he has that 3-hex attack up there that he realized he couldn't do last turn because he didn't give him a point. And the Russians are down to 14, the British are still at 10. British are living off their Lend-Lease and the Commonwealth. That's all they've really got going for them. So now we're at 3 plus 3. So he rolled a 5. 2 plus 3. I rolled a 4 plus 3 is a 7. So I didn't get a German factory, but I did get the Russian factory back. Then we go over to the west, where he's plus 6 to plus 2. And I said, you know, I'm going to see if I can't start chipping away here. So I had thrown the ultra marker. And so he'll be halved at his plus 6. He rolled a 1. He was nice enough to roll low. So that's 7 halves down to a 4. But I can only roll a 5. So it's not enough to take him down 1, but I do get a factory back for the Brits. And then I rolled a 1 for the Ultra, so it'll be back next turn, so I can use it right away. And if we take a look on the turn track, he gets subs in June. He gets both of his subs back. His second sub, which comes in reinforcement-wise, and then his one of his subs that he rolled like in December or something, and he rolled a 6 for it. Or whatever it was. Okay. So now we should be in strategic move, and he goes, well, the armored unit that I moved over to France, let's move it back to the east. And he tried to figure out where was the best place to put it, and he thinks that's better. I kind of agree with him. The West did not have one. I don't think. No, the West didn't have a strategic move. The Soviets do shenanigans. Since he has a 3-hex attack here in poor weather, I said, well, I'll just save myself a production point and just move him back a space. So now it's a 1-hex attack if you want it. And that's how we did that. Then we're into operations phase for the Axis, and they're like, well, it's poor weather, let's go. So that's armor's a 3, Italian makes 4. I don't have anything I can play on it, so the Italian Air Force makes 5. And he throws in the Italian tank to make it +4 to +1. He rolls an 8. I roll a 4, so I retreated. Takes the hex, that's 2 willpower, and he basically broke. I really needed to hold that city just to make him have to spend time in fair weather to come after me, and I couldn't do it. And then he goes, well, let's try it at Saratov. He has a 3 for the armor, a 1 for the infantry. That makes 4. He's going to throw in a German aircraft. That's 5. Oh, we both throw in our airplanes. So now we're doing an airplane battle here, I think. So I throw in tanks and my aircraft. And the 2 aircraft go in. He did not throw his German tanks. I thought he'd go all in there, but... so my aircraft is like -4. He rolled a 2, so he didn't get extra sorties on me. So we both get in, so I'm going to be a +2 in defense, and he's going to be 3, 4, 5, -2, +3. 4. Why is he at 4? Oh, he's +5 total, and then -2 for the weather in the city. He rolled a 6, so I'm like, oh, I can hold, but I rolled a 2. 2 + 2 is a 4. I did not hold. I have to retreat, and he takes that city. Those 2 cities crush me. Instead of 14 will, now I'm down to 10 will, and he doesn't have to spend points to take those cities now when the fair weather comes. So he puts a Finn up there to do blocking, moves this garrison that was in Turin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to take Marseille. He has this garrison go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, 6, 7 back. And then this infantry goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And ends up in that hex. And he spent 3 over here. I was discussing with him why home garrison sits there. It's like, if I'm in the port, you can invade and attack it. If I'm outside the port, you can't attack London. You have to either attack Southampton or Plymouth in order to get a port to be able to sustain your invasion, because no ports are within 3 of air bases for the Germans. And, you know, me having my fleet here was a big mistake. That hex there. That you should never have should never expose the British fleet to German aircraft. Not until you have enough aircraft to have them sitting in the port with the fleet. And then it's like, okay, if the Germans want to go through your aircraft to get to your fleet, then you're going to force them to use at least 2 sorties for everything that they do to your fleet. And that's, you know, economic-wise, that you win on that battle most times. Continuing on. He started to move this guy. Later on, you're going to see him take that move back because he miscounts his number of points that he's using. And then he decided, let's just see if we can take some pot shots at Moscow. Because it starts off, these guys, because he's isolated, every German infantry is a +4. 2 for German and 2 for isolated. So that's 4, 5. I'm going to throw tanks. He's going to throw tanks. So he's at 4, 5, 6. I'm at 1, 2, or I'm at +1, and he throws in an airplane for 7. So it should be 7 -2, so you get +5 and halved, I think. We were talking about where to put things for, he's worried about me breaking out. Let me go back to the combat. So he's up to +7, and then -1 for the weather, -1 for the city, and he's halved because it's a fort. And I'm at +1. So he rolled a 1 + 6 is a 5, halved down to a 3. I rolled a 6 + 1 is a 7, halved, so 3 to a 7 is just an AS. So he doesn't care because it's assaults anyway. Next up is this guy, so that's 4, 5. Go to combat commitment, he goes 6. And German aircraft. What? He went 4, 5, 6, -2. He was at +4. No, German aircraft. So he's at +5. I did throw a tank there thinking, well, if he's halved, maybe I do okay. He rolled a 5 + 3. 3 + 5 is an 8. halved down to a 4. So I'm like, 3 or better and I'm fine. And I rolled a 2, of course. So now I am flipped inside the fort, and Moscow looks like it's going to fall. So he goes after it again. This guy's +4. I'm just going to throw in his airplane. I do not throw in a tank. I just kind of gave up here. I figured I wasn't going to hold it, and I wasn't going to waste the tanks markers here. So that's plus... I only have 1 tanks marker left, that's why. So that's he's 4, 5, -2. So he should be +3 to my -2. He rolled a 6 + 3 is a 4. Or a 5. Right? So it's 9 halved to 4.5 becomes a 5. And I said, geez, the only thing that can save me is a 6. And I rolled it. 5 to a 4, and I hold the hex. So then he brings down the German infantry that was up north there. Can he do that? Yeah, because he was just here. So he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep. So again, he's +4. Throws in the aircraft for +5. So +5. Down 2, so he's +3 to my -2 again. Again, I didn't bother with the tank. He rolled a 1. +3 is a 4, halved out to a 2. No matter what I roll, I can't get beaten. And so now he's like, he's worried about, like, supplying, trying to get people in supply. And keeping me from just running a rampant around, across the Volga there. And going after Yaroslav and stuff like that. So, and his solution, we were counting points there. So his solution was, let's put the garrison unit here. I don't care if it dies. And we'll put this German infantry, which came from here. It barely reaches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Takes care of that. And then he spends 2 to move the Africa army that was in the line down here. Says, I'm going to go sit in the forest. And then he brings his German that was sitting outside of, behind the Finns, and brings it down to Kalinin. That was us counting to make sure. Moves this Finn down to try and... I guess he's forming up some sort of line. I don't know why he's forming up a line there. I don't have the power to break through here, so it was a little confusing to me. And this is where we took this back. When we counted up, he came up 1 point short on his national will. He wanted to stop at 21, and when we added up his points, he would have been at 20. He's like, no, I have like 7 things I want to replenish or whatever. So I was like, okay, well, whatever. So we put that one back. And now we're just doing supplies. So he does his 2. He does 3 Italians and 1 German. And then lets these things go to low supply because the airplane's at full. And I think we're in the Western Action subphase. If I remember right, I didn't do anything. And this probably was a mistake. I probably should have done it now. But I'm just kind of like waiting to see what he does. And then we went to supply phase, and I'm done. So we go to the Soviets. Now, I did a lot of thinking here, and in poor weather, I can be I could throw a tank here and be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, -1. And he'd throw in an airplane, so it would be 4 to 2. I might get a retreat. Oh boy, I still haven't taken back Stalingrad, so I'm kind of in a bad defensive position. I've only got 10 will points left. And the idea is to try and make him take as many fair weather turns to kill me as possible. I'm trying to delay the fall of Russia. I don't think I can stop it, because Moscow's definitely going to go down at some point. So with my paltry 14 points, I basically said I'm going to move 13 guys and save a point to flip the guy in Gibraltar. So, and then I decided the best thing to do is all these guys sitting in the open behind a river. He does have a surprise attack marker, so he can like just blow through these things and roll up this line. So, what did I do? I said, run away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And into the box we go. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 1, 2, 3. I put him there, and then later on, this is 4. Thought about running to there, and then when we started counting where he could get to and do things, we said that's not a good idea. So we moved this guy there, this guy here, and then this guy, instead of moving all the way across the strait, I stopped him there. So if I did this right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I should have 1 point left, which I do. And the idea was to save 1 point to flip the guy in Moscow just to make him have to do multiple attacks. And maybe I get lucky again. Hold him for another turn. I run away, and then if you count, basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For an armored unit can get 1 attack here. Infantry can get 1 attack here. Infantry can get 1 attack here or here. Armor can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Could get 2 attacks there in fair weather. And the idea is just run away. You know, I will fight him here at Granzi. I will fight him in the mountains of the Carpathians for Tiflis. And I'll find him in the swamps in the river outside of Akastran. And, you know, if I can get enough of the army out of the way, and I'm, you know, defending with like shock armies in Akastran and Granzi, and he just forces me to retreat off the board, okay, he gets 4 more points there. He gets 5 from Moscow, so he still has to kill an army somewhere. He'll probably take Novorossiysk, and that's probably how it'll end, is he'll take Granzi or Akastran or kill enough armies to make it happen. Though, like I said, the whole point here is if I can, you know, let's say you get poor in May and I get poor in June, and then I get first fair weather turn is July. Let's, you know, being very hopeful, but let's say the first fair turn is in July and he can't conquer me in July. Then it's not until August that he conquers me, and then it's not until September that he can start moving his army around again to, you know, railing it and marching it wherever he wants it to go. And the idea there is that I'm trying to get rid of the fair weather turns in 42. So that all he'll have is the fair weather turns in 43 to maul me. And hopefully by then I'll have enough Western Allied units on the board to at least keep him out of England and still threaten his periphery. It's not a very good position. This whole losing the Middle East, it just makes it nearly impossible for the British to do anything. The Western Allies are really hamstrung. So I should go on. I'm just here babbling. So we get to the no supply phase for the Axis. They don't do anything. No supply phase for the West. I don't think I did anything, and nothing for the Soviets. Replacements for the Axis. So here we go. Gets the airplane down, this airplane down. Just resets the Italians and the Germans. Then we go into the West, and I take Medfleet down because I got to get it ready for the invasion of England. I also take down the 2 airplanes up here because they had 10 points, and I'm just get these guys as ready as possible to, intervene wherever I need to have them intervene. And then we go over to the Soviets. They have exactly 1 point left, which they flip over to the guy in Moscow. Upgrade, nobody's got mobilization, so diplomacy. I think we're going to end of turn now. Right. So we're going into May. He gets his gets ground support, tank, and a surface action. And his German tank, and then I started taking off June for some reason, so I had to put him back. No, I'm supposed to get this one. I got an Ultra and a Partisans and a tank, and then the Russian Urals goes up 1, so I'm up to 6 Urals now. Is that right? He attacked me in June. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He attacked me in May? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Must have attacked me in May. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so I'm up to 6 there, and I have a Lend-Lease coming in. Where's my Lend-Lease come? Why is my Lend-Lease in December? Oh, that Lend-Lease should probably be in June, because I started taking stuff off for June. Yeah, because he attacked me in June. 1, 2, 3. We got 1 there. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. Okay. Yeah, he attacked me in June, I believe. So this Lend-Lease actually belongs in June, so we'll have to correct the board at that point. And then the British Lend-Lease comes in, so now I'm up to 6 with them. Okay. So now we're in May. And May is a straight die roll for the weather. Or not May. We're in April. Sorry. Aren't we? Or are we in May? We're in May. What turn are we in? I don't even know where I'm at. Yeah. We're going into May. So this is basically the end of the turn here. And he's going to roll for the May weather, so we'll know what we'll start with next time. He rolled a 6, 1, and a 6. So that is in May. Poor, fair, and then poor. So still poor weather in the cold zone, so maybe I shouldn't have run. But if I had stayed, he would have rolled a 1 in the cold zone and had fair and would have knocked me out in May of 1942. So now he will close in on me in May of 1942 and get ready to, probably still try to pound on Moscow and see if he can take it in a poor weather turn, so he doesn't have to. If he can take it without having to spend his paratrooper, he's probably doing really well. I'm trying to hopefully get him to use his airdrop markers so that maybe he'll roll a 6 and it'll go away and I won't have to worry about it anymore. But we'll have to wait and see on how that works. So anyway, there you have it. That's May and April of 1942. Sorry for the break in the middle there where I lost connection. As always, I'm Dren608. If you like my videos, hit the like button, a little thumbs up. Helps YouTube algorithms keep things, up. When people come searching, they'll come find these with more thumbs, the more likely it is to be at the top of the search, or something like that with the algorithms. Also, if you really like what you see here, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification button, and anytime I upload a video, you'll get notified that it's coming out. Until we meet again, stay safe, and bye-bye.